Hello, welcome to Fulhamish Full-Time Live. We're coming at you straight after a slightly disheartening, but not the end of the world, defeat to Manchester City at Craven Cottage. My name is Jack Collins, and I'll be host today. And I'm joined by Mr. Jack Kelly.
Hello. How is everyone doing?
Hello, mate. And Mr. Guy Barlow.
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Look, it's one of those, right, where it's obviously frustrating. It's frustrating to lose in the manner that Fulham did. It's frustrating to give away the goals that Fulham did today. But on the flip side, Man City currently top of the league by such a distance, probably the most consistent side in Europe right now. Jack, how much can we learn from this? Is this just to kind of put this behind and forget about it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the first 45 we were competent and we actually were on, I wouldn't say on City's level, but dealt with them quite nicely. It's just a shame. It was reminding me a little bit of Gabriel's second goal against Arsenal on the opening day. Sort of schoolboy defending from a set piece, and we'll learn from this. I think Scott Parker won't let us get too low about this because the highs of last week and then the sort of lows of this week, he won't let the heads drop at all. And we've got nine very, very important games going into the end of the season now. And this doesn't define us. We're playing the best team in, I'd say, Europe right now. And yeah, we'll learn a lot from this. We'll learn from our mistakes, quite literally, and we'll move on.
Individual errors, obviously, Guy, which are frustrating, and you can lay blame at players' doors all you want. And it is one of those where I'm sure I can see the comments coming in on the side already, and I can see them flying in. Especially about Cav, who seems to get more heat than most, I would say. But, at the end of the day, Fulham were really good for 45 minutes. So we were really sharp, and then we conceded a sloppy free kick. We haven't quite switched on after the break. We have a mini implosion. Is it better to get it all out of the way in one go rather than, let this lead on? And yes, Fulham did have a 10 minutes where we were really, really at sea. But sometimes things like this happen, especially against side who put you under so much pressure.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to be philosophical against a side as good as Man City as well, and to take these mistakes more lightly than we would do had they come against, Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago. And I've seen that on Twitter already. People say it's good to get these mistakes out of the way, and just that we were probably going to lose anyway. I know that Scott Parker would say he's put a team out to get a result regardless of the opposition. But, as we've already said in the first however many minutes, they are arguably the best side in the world, or if not, best side in Europe. So the mistakes, disappointing, but onwards and upwards, move on.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, right? Jack and I were discussing this very briefly before we came on air. And Amdejwa says, too much playing around at the back. Now, Jack, I know this was something that you kind of picked up on early doors.
Yeah. I mean, it is cautious. It's high risk, high reward. But on a couple of occasions, especially first half, Tosin Adarabioyo got the ball and he waited for too long. And I've seen trends of that when it's Tim Ream and Hector. They get the ball, they take a touch, and they just wait and look around for the pass. And suddenly, it might have been Ferran Torres, I can't remember who it was, Bernardo Silva. He hit it against his arm, and unfortunately we got the free kick. But that was a very early sign that we were making silly mistakes. We were taking too long with our passes. I know it's the style, and I know it's we've been encouraged to play in this way, and maybe City forced us into that sort of situation as well because they press so high. But it was a sign that things could go wrong, and they did go wrong. But too much playing out from the back, it's the style sometimes. But sometimes you just got to lump it long, like Sean Dyche and Burnley, because obviously they got a great result today as well. But yeah, it doesn't faze me too much against a City team who are going to win the league, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I slightly disagree in the fact that it's Fulham today were under the cosh, right from the beginning. I thought we were really, really under it, and actually, it was only the playing out from the back that gave us any sort of respite, I thought, in quite a strange way, Guy. And, because we were so kind of, especially towards the end of the first half and obviously in long periods in the second, you kind of go long and it came straight back at us. And actually, yes, it was a little bit risky at times. And I completely agree with Jack. There were some real harem-scarum moments, right, where we actually couldn't get out. But it was the first time, and especially with Fulham working so hard, Frank Anguissa in particular, puffing. And you can see the amount of work he was doing between the boxes early on. and therefore, like those kind of moments where we had the ball at the back were the only real release we were getting.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Jack. But then maybe, you should look at the team selection then. The fact that if that was the only kind of rest we were getting from playing out, then should we have had maybe more of an option up front? And obviously, when you say option, I don't necessarily mean Mitrovic. I also mean, Maja in behind, or playing Lookman through the middle, because Lookman was kind of playing in, what I guess you might call an old-fashioned inside forward role, wasn't he? Where he was kind of coming in and trying to get in behind that way. But yeah, I think, and also as Jack Kelly says, I should say, because I just remember there are two Jacks.
It's gonna make life really difficult.
Yeah,
Just say JK.
As JK said about knowing when is the right time to pump it forwards. And to be fair to Areola, I think he did get that right most of the time and didn't put his defenders under too much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, was Scott's game plan today to draw this game 0-0? and I say that with a smirk, but not really. Like, as in, I think that's quite a reasonable effort for Fulham. Not, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm not trying to say that this side couldn't beat. We saw last week that Fulham can go and beat big sides who, hold themselves in high esteem. But given how good City have been, given that we were seeing them off the back of a loss, obviously last weekend, and they beat Southampton in the week, they're kind of on the rebound from quite a difficult result for them, and obviously trying to put things right was the best Fulham could hope for today, to keep them out, and therefore did the whole match collapse when we conceded that soft first one, Jack?
From a fan's perspective, yes, but from Scott Parker's mentality that he's instilled all season, that he in his press conference against Liverpool was thinking, how do we beat Liverpool, not how do we go there and get a point. And if you look at like Steve Bruce, Graham Potter, they might have that sort of how can we get a point mentality, even though of course Brighton did win there. But Scott Parker's got this whole refreshing mentality that he's thinking, how can we beat these sides, because I know that we can play our football, I know that we can match them certain points of the game. And he would have been thinking the exact same for this game as well. How can we implement our style of play and our brand of football and beat Pep Guardiola's City? And for the first 45, although we didn't have much going forward, the game plan was going well. So I think from a fan's perspective, 0-0 would have taken all day. But Scott Parker will be thinking, well, obviously be thinking disappointing, we made mistakes, we lost 3-0. But before the game, he would have been thinking, how do we beat City? And he's going to go into every game for the rest of the season with that same mentality, which I find so refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things here. One of them is about Anguissa. Guy, what were your thoughts? Alan James says back to his worst tonight. I'm intrigued. I've seen a bit of this on Twitter. There's a bit kind of both ways, but there are differing opinions. What were your thoughts?
I know I'm a big Anguissa stan. As to be fair, most of us are. But clearly tonight he was given the job of man marking Rodri, right? And that was a pretty obvious game plan from Scott, along with Reed perhaps on Aguero and Lamina on Bernardo Silva. But Anguissa, is good. That's a tough job to do, to man mark the player who City go through everything with. And I know Anguissa's he's not the best passer of the ball. He's not the best finisher. In fact, hasn't he got?
I know exactly what you're about to reference.
Yeah,
Michael Cox article today on The Athletic.
Yeah, he's got the worst XG per shot. Is that right, Jack? Sorry. So, but also, and final point, what do we expect from Anguissa tonight against Man City's midfield? I think he's done a great job personally.
Yeah, I thought he did okay. I thought he worked tirelessly, Jack. And yes, there were moments where things weren't coming off. There were moments where it wasn't quite working for him. But I thought in the kind of grander scheme of things, the amount of yards he put in was one commendable by itself, but two, he was kind of being asked to play defensive midfield and 10 in sort of equal capacity, which is a hard job at the best of times, never mind against Man City.
It was really weird because he was leading the press. Oh yeah, and I wanted to say Xabi Anguissa tonight was doing his best Edgar Davids impression. He just needed the sunglasses and it would have been Edgar Davids 2.0. But yeah, it was really weird how Anguissa was leading press, and there was an instance in the first half where we put them under a severe amount of pressure, and we kept overloading the ball and kept getting these chances. City couldn't clear their lines, and Anguissa got the ball wide on the right-hand side.
Was this the worst cross of all time? Is this what you're on about?
Well, it probably was the worst.
He did do that at one point.
It might have been that instance, but if he'd got his head up, he had a runner.
Yeah.
He had a runner in behind, and he could have easily got us into the box and with a chance. But yeah, he just needs to get his head up a bit more. But in terms of his work rate, the way he breaks up play, he can be fabulous on his day. He does have the odd moment where he loses the ball, or he doesn't track, or he loses concentration. But overall, I think, the bigger picture of Anguissa is, if we stay up, fantastic, great. He might stay on for Fulham next season. If we go down, we've got, which obviously I really don't want us to go down. It would be horrible. We've got a major asset on our hands that we could really, really get a good price for. And, we bought him for 30 million from Marseille, and everyone was like, what a waste of money after 18-19. And, I agreed. And then performance at Bournemouth was quite good, and he improved, and he went to Villarreal. Now I'm thinking at least 40 million he's worth. I mean, Real Madrid were interested in the summer. I know a flurry of teams will be. But I like Anguissa. I think he's a bit hot and cold here and there. And I know I've rambled on for a bit, but yeah, I like Zambo. He's cool.
Someone else's dividing opinion is Ivan Cavaleiro. Obviously, he's at fault for the second goal. Let's not beat around the bush. It's not great. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. Running across your own box is very rarely a good idea, but especially against the City press. This, I think, is harsh, though, from MLS. He says, get dropped for the rest of the season, then sell him next season. I think this is probably the extent of it. It's harsh. And actually, in the first half, I thought Cav was quite good. I thought he worked really, really hard. He's fulfilling a very difficult role in that he was tracking João Cancelo, probably the best attacking fullback in the Prem, who was released from shackles by playing a wing-back role, which meant he could literally go wherever he wanted. Cav did a lot of that tracking against his countryman. And yes, the second half was bad. And yes, that free kick was really bad. But on the whole, I think Cav gets more stick than he's actually justified. When he's played on the right, when he's working really hard and in his preferred position, I think he's an asset to this squad, and he gets a lot more heat than I think he deserves, Jack.
Yeah, he's this massive scapegoat, but he does pop up with the odd goal and the odd chance. He always leans back when he shoots. It's very, very frustrating. He just needs that bit of composure. But
he should listen to George. He should listen to George.
That's what
he
I was
hasn't listened to George. Yeah.
George's comment was so funny, and it's been like memed and put on Twitter quite a few times. I don't know with Cav. I think if we stay up, we need to upgrade on him, especially when we play him down the middle. We do need a better striker and in that position.
Yeah, he's been played out of position quite heavily through the.
I know, yeah,
he doesn't succeed very often because he's not a striker.
I know, and that's why he gets a bit of stick. And he can't really beat the first man with the cross, but that's the same with Knockout. But I think in hindsight, he was a bit of a waste of money. But he is doing, he has been a bit of an asset for us this season. I don't know, is he a disaster or not? I don't know. It's very, very scapegoat every week. He's everyone's on his back, but he's doing his best. Bless him.
Guy.
Yeah, I love the whenever he rolls his foot over the ball, that bingo moment.
Is that a right-footed Lamella?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think just maybe on what JK said there, like. It seems like a classic winger in the Championship, in that he's got like loads of technical ability, loads of pace, great skill, but then either can't finish or can't cross, and that is what separates like those wingers, isn't it? And unfortunately,
you're so right. It's really annoying, but you're right.
And I agree with you, JC, that like he's been asked to do a lot for Fulham. Like he's been asked to play in lots of different positions, do a lot defensively, and I thought it was quite telling that. Scotty had a word with him when he came off today. I think Parker likes him, and
Parker definitely likes him. His work. Oh, look, Faz has put this here in the chat. This is one of the best defensive wingers and one of the worst attacking wingers in the league, right? and actually, that's probably spot on. I think that there's a point to be made that is that, you know, JDM says this: forwards don't get the credit for how good we've been defensively, and this is so important, right? And it goes for Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well. The way the fact that Fulham have been so good of recent times in a defensive run is not just because Adebayo and Anderson are excellent, right? It's partly to do with that because they are a wonderful partnership, but it's also to do with the fact that everybody works incredibly hard, and that includes the likes of Cavaleiro, who allows Lookman to basically shirk his defensive duties, because you have to have that balance and that tilt to allow players to move forward. That said, going forward, he's been terrible, and you have to accept that as well. So there is a level to this, but there's a reason that Scott Parker keeps picking these players, and it's not because he's just stuck with them and he doesn't want anything else. It's because he knows what they bring to the side defensively.
Yeah, I think that's true. And even the Spurs game, where we got a very, very valuable point at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, he won a very, very good header.
Maybe we're not crossing to him enough.
Well, there we go. Actually, he missed a header against was it Leicester earlier in the season, quite recently. So this LMS puts in the chat: Jack, stop defending him. He's awful, mate. He's a pro footballer. If you can't cross the ball, go.
Anguissa can't cross the ball, but I'm also going to sit here and defend him.
Looking back on the season, if we stay up, you'll look back and you'll probably think that Cav has given more to this team than you probably thought. He does some of the hard yards, and that's some of the underappreciated things that footballers do, and you just don't notice it because he doesn't put the ball in the back of the net.
I think, I think ultimately, like, I know that this is, we're talking about the Man City game specifically right now, but, you know, if we do get it, ultimately, we haven't scored enough goals, like, because our defense is fine. Is tonight the 14th game we've failed to score in? I think. Commentary so
we haven't been good going forward.
And he's part of that. So
100%.
So he needs to be looked at, and definitely upgraded if we stay up.
Yeah, completely.
Should we talk about Mitrovic, because he came on and thought was excellent, actually. You know, held the ball up really nicely. Set Josh Odomah. Josh Odomah played tonight. That was great at that. But JDM says Mitro looks sharp, created the best chance we had second half. He has to start on Friday. And actually, we had a question which was basically Mitro or Maja next week. I'll start with you. I mean, is it a Mitrovic? It is Leeds, and they are the only team he scored against this season.
It's so funny, Mitrovic. Like, in the first half, when there was that shot to him on the bench, and he was there smiling, I couldn't help but smile myself.
Yeah, he's a smiling puppy.
Yeah, he's such like he's Fulham, isn't he? He's ours, and I love him for it. So my heart is going to say Mitrovic there. Maja's like, I think the jury's still about out on him. Like, he scored the two very important goals away at Everton, but they were tap-ins. And I think that sometimes his hold-up play leaves a bit to be desired. So I'm going to sit on the fence and say ultimately it's down to Parker. I'd go Mitrovic, but he'd probably go Maja, yeah.
Jack?
The problem is, I remember Mitrovic coming on against Brighton and creating that one massive big chance at the end of the game with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. And everyone was like, start him next game. And I can't remember what the next game was after that. Doesn't matter. He didn't really make an impact. Let's just say that. And by the way, the reason why Mitrovic was laughing on the bench is because Cav's so bad. That's why he was laughing.
Absolutely no chance. This is nice. Daniel Webb, Cav's earned us 5 points this year. We've only got 26. That means Ivan Cavaleiro is directly responsible for 20% of Fulham's points. Man. I have it. Come with me.
As jokes.
But yeah, I mean, Mitro or Maja, Jack?
It's so difficult because obviously Leeds play at such a tempo. We need to avoid this game getting stretched, and it's, you know, I asked Joe on SW6 Essential whether this was a game that's going to be free flowing, or do you think we'll just sit back and play our game and try not to make that into that sort of game. I think I'd start Josh Maja just because he's a presence, he's a fox in the box, and Mitrovic is a great impact sub for now for the situation we're in. I would love to see Bobby Decourt do over Reed though, but he was injured, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, injured / I think his wife is potentially pregnant.
All right, so
just
Parker
about
didn't
to
want
have
it.
a baby.
Well, he
There's a
didn't
couple
give
of. No, we're not having this conversation. I've seen this conversation now before. We're not doing that. Absolutely no chance. We are not doing that. Look, let's move it on and let's finish it off with Leeds, right? It's a big game, this guy. Well, I mean, every game is going to be big. We've got 9 games left to pick up as many points as we obviously can in the most basic terms possible. But obviously, you look at Leeds, you think this is a team that haven't been in great form of late, who are probably safe and a little bit in no man's land, in that they're not going to get dragged into the relegation scrap. They're too far away to be into the European race. I'm not saying that they're going to be on the beaches of Margate, but there is a level of this where we're like, are Leeds a little bit kind of stick where you are and kind of build for next season now? Is this an opportunity?
Well, you're not going to say they're on the beach, but I am going to say they're on the beach. And I'm going to say Villa are on the beach as well, and Wolves are on the beach. We've still got to play. And so, like, these are the games you want when you're fighting for survival or when you're fighting for Europe. Like, and we've got those 2 other games, and starting with Leeds, they're massive games. They're all at home, I think. And yeah, I mean, it's simplistic terms. You've got to win, but like you've got to especially target this game, I think, ahead of Man U away, which we've also got coming up. So yeah, it's obviously a massive game and a very winnable one as well. Like, they're nothing special. I know they've got a lot of plaudits and they beat us earlier in the season, but like let's.
They also conceded to that Fulham 3 to that Fulham
Yes.
team that didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah,
So there's that. Ari says starting Mitro forces Leeds to possibly change their game plan. I don't think Maja has that effect. It's probably worth pointing out, Jack.
Yeah, I think you could say that Mitrovic on many occasions when we played Leeds, I remember the game in our promotion season at home, he absolutely bullied the back 2 and obviously caused them problems in the second game of the season. So yeah, it is something to look at. It's just we're so slow in the final third. I just feel like Mitrovic, I know he's great at hold-up play and bringing other players into it, but does he just slow it down that little bit more? We need that little bit more intent running into the box, like of Lookman, Loftus-Cheek, Cavaleiro. And then obviously you've got Maja, who's in and around, who can obviously be a fox in the box. In terms for Leeds, I mean, Bamford will be on Bamford Island because he's obviously injured. He won't be playing on Friday. So obviously Rodrigo probably starts. I don't think they were very impressive today at all. I don't
think Rodrigo's been very good of late.
No, obviously, and that's what people on my group chat were saying today. The fact that Rodrigo's starting, they were celebrating that. But obviously, that's touch wood. That could be disastrous. He could score against us. But yeah, I think Leeds are at a point now where they're safe, they're done, and will they get the burnout they usually get? I'm not sure. Look, as long as Bielsa keeps kneeling on the touchline, and being a passion merchant, then there we go, passion merchant.
I was waiting for it.
They might do something, but look, Scott Parker's jacket will see us through, I think.
Fantastic. Like how in the comments, Jordan Hugill is being touted as Fulham's saviour. Luke says Hugill will get you goals, and now that that's happened, I think it's probably time to call this a day. Yeah. When Jordan Hugill is being touted as Fulham's saviour, I think it might be time to end it. So all that's left for me to do. Thank you very much to Jack Kelly.
Jordan Hugo as well. Goodness me. Good night, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sky Barlow.
Cheers, boys. Up the Fulham.
Up the Fulham. I'm in Jack Collins. Let's not get too down about this. We go again on Friday for Leeds. You Whites.
You